Cuckoo.
We're Isabel and Kim, girlfriends living in France and chatting about everything going on in our lives. Come hang out with us while we cheers with an Aperol Spritz, swap stories, and get into some deep talks and share what we've learned along the way. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram at cuckoo.pod, and leave us a review if you like our podcast.
Yay. Well, cheers. There's one more week of school.
Cheers.
Summer. And we are cheersing with a new mocktail today.
Not because it's 10 in the morning. But this is actually this awesome drink called Gimber, not sponsored, but it's just this little like ginger juice that you can pour into anything, and it is delicious.
Yeah, and you taught me about it. We mix it with sparkling water, put it in a fancy glass, and we're ready to go.
So Kim, this is our last episode of season 1.
I know.
Our 10th
I can't
episode.
believe it. It's exciting.
Crazy. I'm really excited.
It's been so fun though.
This was really fun.
I know.
I guess we can do a quick catch up and then we can jump into our last topic of
the
season
day.
1.
Yay.
How are you doing?
I'm actually all right. You know, this week's like just crazy and busy, and I feel like between juggling like work and this school stuff, it's just been a little overwhelming. I don't know how
this
you
week
feel.
Has been terrible.
You've had a rough week.
I've had a rough week. But yeah, it's crazy. The end of the year is coming so soon.
Yeah.
The kids basically have 4 days of school left,
Yeah.
I think. And then it's summer vacation.
I know.
But-
and you're like moving. You have a lot going on.
Yeah, I feel like I sort of do have a lot going on,
Yeah.
but I've just had like a series of unfortunate events this week.
No.
No, I'm being dramatic, but we had like a drink spill on our tiles. I ruined the floors of my house. I've had problems with the electricity. It just, those times,
Yes.
those days where it's like kind of everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I
Yes.
feel like I'm having a series of like 3 or 4 days of that. But I had a great week last week. So I'm hoping
So
that
maybe it's just
it's
almost the weekend.
It's already Thursday.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be out of this week soon.
And we have a
So-
fun activity coming up this weekend together with our families. So
What are we doing?
we're going to Tonton-Jus, which is a beach club.
Oh, Tonton-Jus.
Tonton-Jus. I actually don't think it's French. No, it probably is. But it's supposed to be really fun. It's like a restaurant, beach club, like all on this little kind of area near, what is it near?
Sancy?
Oui.
Sancy-sur-Mer? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. So, and I heard the food's actually very good. So,
Oh, awesome.
Yes, it'll
Thank
be-
you for planning this.
oh, of course. I was excited. I made the reservation in French for 12 people.
Nice. I
So it
hope
might
you
be
didn't
for
make
2.
it. I hope you didn't make it for 2.
I know,
That's
because
what I was
do
gonna say.
and do's are very confusing in French. So do means
This is
2.
actually so funny. I
And
still have
dues
trouble with this.
means 12. But I've learned you have to really lower your voice for dues. Like it has to be
Dues.
dues.
Honestly, I'm still so bad at it.
So if we show up and there's only a reservation for 2,
It's for me and you.
just for
and
you
we'll
and I,
give
and
the
we're gonna
husbands
let
the kids.
exactly, and they can go play on the beach, and we'll have a
Perfect.
cocktail and a great meal.
Okay, that's
So
settled.
done. Okay, settled.
Okay, so what
All
are we
right.
talking about today?
Okay, so today we are talking about friendships. We thought this would be kind of a fun topic since Isabel and I have like become friends and enjoyed doing this together, and
So
it's
fun.
been really fun. So we're gonna kind of cover a few things with that. We're gonna talk about how our friendships have changed over time, from like our 20s to our 30s and 40s. We are going to talk about how the French perceive friendships and making friends versus the United States. And then we have a few friendship deal breakers.
Ooh.
I know. And then maybe
Juicy.
a few takeaways that
Okay.
we have about friendships. So, Isabel, I'll let you start with how you're thinking about friendship and how it's changed.
Okay, so I think maybe we can start with, I feel like we've talked on previous episodes
about
about
making
like,
friends.
how to make
Yeah.
new friends when you move somewhere
Mhm.
new. But I feel like we haven't covered how to keep up with your old
Yes,
friends
totally.
when you move. And I think I would love to talk about 2 things about
'Kay.
this. Like actually talk about if you live abroad and how to keep up with people at home, but
Yep.
also it also sort of ties into how friendships can change going from your 20s to your 30s.
For sure.
Just with everyone having everything going on in their
Yes.
life. So I think we can start with keeping up with friends back home.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sort of failing on this. Like I do my company with one of my best friends,
Yeah.
Tor. So I obviously talk to her all the time.
Yeah.
And it's so great to have like sort of like what we have here. We have like a common
Yes.
project together. So it's great because like we keep up with our friendship, but we also are working. So we just
Yep.
have a lot of like touch points where we end up talking.
It's so good to combine like work and a
Yep.
friendship. It's like the best.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
really lucky to
Yeah,
have that 2
for sure.
times in my life. I mean, I
Aw.
guess if they all go south, then my life is the toilet. So
Well, hopefully the friendships won't.
yeah, totally. So I feel like that relationship I'm really good at keeping up with.
Yeah.
And then I do. So we always had like a college, or my group of friends from college, are like a group chat, and
Okay.
it used to be so active when we were all living together.
Yeah.
And now, kind of gradually, as everyone's gotten older, it's less. It's less and less.
For sure.
But I'm even bad at keeping up with this because I
Yeah.
feel like I'll wake up to like 100
Oh,
messages.
right, because of the time
because
difference.
the time difference
Right.
gets really hard, and then I'm reading them when I read them at
Oh, and
like
it's-
7 in the
The
morning.
joke is over.
Well, and it's also like I can't even respond because I'm
No.
afraid that one of them has their phone
Oh,
on,
right,
and
and
then
they'll
I
wake
wake
'em
them up
up.
in the middle of the
Yeah.
night, and then the moment passes because I've forgotten
Totally.
about it. The conversation's over, and then I just feel like
You're not even in it.
I'm not in the loop, and
Yeah.
so I feel like this is one area where I just kind of have to be okay with not always like keeping up that way. But I think it's important, especially going forward now, because we all have had really young kids and it was
Yeah,
COVID, and
for sure.
there haven't been a ton of opportunities to see each other. But now
No.
every time I go, I'm really trying to make an effort to see people when I can.
Yeah.
So like
That's
even
really
when
good.
I was there for work in February, I went and stayed at my friend Carolyn's house
Oh,
for a night
nice.
before I left. And it was just like so nice. One of
That's
our other friends
awesome.
came for
Oh.
dinner. It was just really
That's
nice
awesome.
to see people, and also just a good reminder that real friends, even if you're not talking to them all the time,
That you
even
can
if you
like,
haven't talked to them
catch
for
back
6
up
months,
in a minute. Yeah.
you can get on the phone,
Totally.
talk, and it's like nothing has ever
Yes,
changed.
it's
And
the best.
It's just it's the best feeling ever. And I think right now in my life, I'm so grateful. I don't need tons of friends.
Yeah.
I actually am really social and I like having a lot
Yeah.
of friends, but I just, at this moment in my life,
Yeah.
I don't have space for tons of friends. And so I'm super happy to have
For sure.
like a few good friends, like those types of friends where you can go a long time and not talk
Yes.
and jump right back into it when
That's
you do.
awesome. Oh, that's such a good thing.
How has it been? Because I've now been like abroad for a long time.
Yeah.
So we haven't had these like girl trips. We've all had kids too.
Totally.
And COVID, like no one was doing anything. So I feel like overall like even my friends that are like living closer to each other aren't seeing each other
As much.
as much.
Yeah.
Like, almost at all, I think.
No, totally.
But how has it been for you
Well, I think
since you moved?
it's
'Cause you've only-
honestly been not that different because it'll be almost a year in
Okay.
August. But I think because my friend group kind of all dispersed, like I would say in our 20s, like my closest friends like all lived in New York City together and we had like the best time. And then I think I was like the first one to move and
Yeah.
I sort of underestimated how like amazing it is to have your best friends all in one place together.
Totally.
Like I forgot that was like a dream that may never happen again.
Yeah.
Because like we moved to San Francisco and, you know, we were all like dating people and some of us, I think were engaged at that point, but, no kids. And so I moved to San Francisco, like I had friends that stayed in New York. Some moved to like Canada, others moved to like back to the Midwest. Like it was just kind of everyone sort of dispersed, I would say, once they like got
Everyone
married
left
and
New
had
York City.
kids
Yeah,
and left
same,
New
like,
York City. Yeah.
all my friends left New York City too, pretty much.
And so I think we've always been somewhat dispersed in the last like, I don't know, 5 to 7 years maybe. But I've noticed that like what I try to do a better job of now versus like I think even when I had my kids were babies is like just like even like texts I think make a difference. Even you can have
I
a
agree.
text conversation of like just something funny or like something that brings a smile to your face or I was thinking of you in this, like it kind of just I think like makes you feel good. It makes the other person know that you're thinking of them.
Yep.
So I do that. And then I honestly am also not great about like the phone and the time difference. So
Yeah.
I mean, I catch up with my best friend Heidi like as much as I can, but it's not like the easiest. And she's working full time and it's like, you know, the hours. But I think for me, like, I think living abroad hasn't really changed that much in terms of like being cognizant of wanting to like make sure I keep in touch with friends. But I think it is like, I just have to be more aware of the time difference, which I
Yeah.
know sounds like so silly, but you can't like, there used to be these moments where I could like call someone on my way to work and it was the same time they were going to work. And like,
And you knew that like both of you guys are going to be
exactly.
available.
It just doesn't, you can't do that here.
So one thing I actually like, I've just remembered this as you were saying this, and I think that it's maybe a good thing that we
Yeah.
could apply to friendships. But when me and my husband, we did long distance from New York to Paris for 2 years.
Oh, that's right.
And he was I think he had done a long distance relationship
Okay.
before at some point, and it was hard. So he was I was always like, yeah, like no
Yeah.
big deal, it'd be great. And he was really hesitant. And
interesting.
when we like decided that we were actually like really going to give this a try and see what
Yeah.
happened, his reasoning was like, if we're living far apart with a time difference, we can't look at it like that. He was like, if we both are planning our lives based on like when we can talk and this and that, it's
too
never going to work
complicated.
because then both of us are not present in our current lives. And I was like, that makes sense. So
Wow.
he was like, let's pretend we're in the same city in different apartments. And so like, that's how your communication goes. And it actually worked really well because we never had like FaceTime dates. It was just like, if I
Felt
had
like
a
calling
moment
him.
and felt like calling him or texting him, I would. If he was available, he would answer. If he wasn't, no big deal. And honestly,
What if it was like
worked.
the middle of the night? He would wake up for you.
I mean, he was never really asleep. Because he's also sort of a night owl.
Okay.
And so that definitely helped
yeah.
because he was like, I went to bed early. He was always up late.
Okay.
And I don't know, it worked really well for us. But I feel like this is also like something that I do sometimes with my friends because for a while I was putting off like, oh, should I call? And I would hesitate.
Yeah.
But I think like a
Now
tip
you just
would
go
be
call.
if someone pops into your head, just pick up the phone and call them. Or send them a message.
Something.
And, like if they answer, like there's probably like a very small chance they answer, but who knows? Maybe they will. And if you don't try, you don't know.
Totally.
And even if they like don't answer, they still see that you called.
For sure.
Then you send a message and maybe you never end up catching up on the phone, but then like, just kind of like that thought is there. And I feel like, you should just try.
Yeah. And I think what I've been learning is like, I undervalued like when I was working a lot, like how important friendships are. Like they kind of ranked probably the lowest behind like, my parents, my husband, my kids, like just because it was just hard and it was busy. And I realized like the friendships actually like are so important to your like mental well-being, to
agree.
like just like how you feel on a daily basis, to have like that a friend energy that like fills you up for the day. And it can be like a short interaction, but like you just like feel better and you are like a happier person. And there's actually like science. I just listened to an interesting podcast on this that like they can predict at 50 how long someone's going to live or their longevity based on their like friendships.
On their like social
it's like on close connections they're calling them. But like friendships are obviously,
I'm not surprised.
Like warm connections are so important and it like predicts longevity. Like they're healthier over time, like all these things. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like I rank them low and I just didn't even like, it didn't cross my mind when I was like working crazy and had babies at home. And
but also it's normal.
I mean, I think it is
There's
normal. Like I shouldn't feel guilty about it, but
many hours in the day and you're not sleeping. So
no, it's true. And you and I were chatting about this, like if it almost needs to be like scheduled. Like it's like, okay, like, oh, do you want to get a glass of wine? And I like on a Thursday or Friday, I'm like, that's like the last thing I feel like doing. Like I want to like go to sleep at 9 and like just call it and like actually feel better the next day. And so I think it's like just harder during like certain points of your life. And like, I'm trying not to feel like guilty about it, but I would say now as like my kids are like a little bit older, like actually trying to prioritize friendships and socializing a lot more than I have probably ever done in my life. And it actually makes me like feel a lot happier, I would say, over this last year that I've been doing that. And for me, it's actually been easier here. Like, I mean, obviously I think because people, we've talked about this, are like, in my mind, like at least the expat people are more open, like of just the friendships feel like
people
easier
are looking for
and quicker
friends. Like,
and up for
no one
doing
has friends,
things
so
and no one has family nearby. So it just feels like the friendships actually become kind of the central base of like part of the experience, I think, of, moving and living here. So that's actually been a really positive, I think, for me, perspective to have now of like, I never again want to like undervalue how important it is to have close friends in your life. And it doesn't need to be like this massive circle of friends, but like you and I were talking about, like a few close people that like I know I could call you like in the middle of the night and be like, my daughter's sick and my husband's traveling and blah, blah, blah. Like I need, and you'd be there, and I think you just need like a few friends like that in my mind. That
I completely agree with you.
Just like, you feel so good and they kind of, the energy actually like fills you up.
Yeah. I think this is really interesting. And I think it's also a good point to talk about how the friendships shift from like the 20s to when you get to your 30s, 40s, because it's true. When you're in your early 30s, mid 30s, 40s, you have young, very needy children.
Yeah.
You are probably at like a more like elevated part of your career. So you have more responsibility there too. Plus you have a husband.
Yeah.
And I do think that there is this shift of everyone kind of like goes inside a bit,
Yeah.
like into their own home, and that like daily friendship interaction that you would just have by casually seeing your friends when you were all in your 20s living somewhere
It
close
doesn't
to each other.
exist.
You don't have that. So a lot of it goes towards your partner,
Totally.
which makes sense. But I also do think that it's true. Like once you have a little bit more time, it's really nice to reach back out and have girlfriends again, because there's just some things you can't
share
talk
with your
about
husband.
with your husband.
And even like my husband would say, like when I didn't have like a huge friend network that I was seeing all the time in San Francisco, like he's like, you can't rely on me to be like your best friend, your girlfriend, you're like one that you can talk to about like absolutely everything in your life. Like, and then at first when he said that, I was like, what do you mean? And now I'm like, I totally get it. Like,
because my husband said this too.
Yeah. It's like you need girlfriends for like different reasons than things you don't want to, like your husband doesn't want to deal with or talk about with you, or like, just, I don't know, just, it's like a totally different bond.
Well, my poor husband was like, so do you want to hear about my new skincare routine? And he's like, oh my
please,
gosh.
No.
And like every now and then I'd be like, sure, tell me everything. And I'm like,
yes. But it does
true.
It's so true. And it actually, I find like my relationship with my husband is better now because I have like more friends that I see on a daily basis that I'm close with, that I can just talk about like the thing he doesn't want to hear about, whether it's the skincare routine or some kind of new workout I tried. And he's like, well, I do not care, you know?
Yeah.
So
no, I think you're so right about that. When both people have like their outlet for specific things,
it helps.
It definitely helps.
Yes. So another reason friendships are important.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think about like now that you've been in France for a long time, or medium time, we'll say, like how you perceive like French friends making like friendships, or French people making friendships with each other versus like in the US? Like what are kind of some of the things you noticed?
I feel like in the US, this like the barrier to entry of friendship is low.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Like you might wave at someone and you're like, oh, she like looks cool and like I want to be friends with her and she looks friendly.
And I think you can like talk to someone like at drop off and be like, that's my friend.
Yes.
Whereas here, I don't think that like if you just talk to someone at drop off,
they would not consider you a friend.
I think they wouldn't even consider you anything at all.
It's probably true.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I do feel like French people are more guarded and careful with who they open themselves
up
to. Whereas, you know, in the US, I feel like if someone, I mean, I do agree, like someone has to be open to making friends.
Yeah,
so like if you're like in a point where you're both rushing to work and you cross the same person at the coffee store, like, and you smile and say hi, like that's never going to go past that. But if you're at like, if you do like a team sport together, you drop your kids off at the same place, and there's also that like kind of other connection, I think it's pretty easy to make friends. Like, let's grab a drink or come over and watch the game, or
your kids end up being friends. So then it's like kind of this natural, like, well, of course we should get the kids together. Let's do a play date. You know, like that becomes like there's like a low barrier to entry to your point of like, why not?
And I remember even like we at one point, not this year, but when my daughter was like a year and a half, we spent a month in Miami and just like meeting some of the same parents on the playground. They'd be like,
so
like
fun.
We should get together. And I remember my husband was like, wait, it's like this guy just asked for my number. And I was like, he's like, it's so cool.
It's so cool. You thought it was cool?
Yeah, he thought it was so cool because he was like, this would literally never happen in Paris. Like I would never be talking to another French guy and he'd be like,
well, let me get your number.
Let's change numbers. Like maybe if you were at the same class, like maybe if there was like something a little deeper, but like with a stranger, no. So I do think that also makes it a little bit hard for outsiders like us to break into this circle, because I think a lot of French people have their friends that they grew up with. They're just like, I also get it on one point. Like you want to invest. I think they value deeper friendships more, and they're not like as comfortable with like convenience friendships.
Right.
Whereas I think Americans are kind of like okay to have convenient friendships. And I don't really think there's anything when you have time for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with a convenience friendship because you just want to be able to like pick up the phone or like go grab lunch or see someone, talk, have a good time. It doesn't have to be this like deep, fulfilling relationship that you continue your whole life. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
But I think that French people prefer to invest in those longer term relationships.
Yes.
In general. So I think it can That's kind of the way I see it.
And
How,
that's
do
it's
you
actually
agree?
what I've like heard and observed too. Like I have like a French American friend, and she was telling me like she was excited that like this French woman was like starting to invest time in her. She's like, but this is going to take years before she would consider me a friend. And I said, what do you mean? I was like, you've gone to lunch a few times, like
Yeah.
you know, you guys like went out the other night. And
In
she
my
was
mind,
like,
they're like
I was like, these
borderline
are like
best
best
friends.
friends here. She's like, no. She goes, I am not even close to
Wow.
being like a friend. And I mean, she's fluent in French. They're both, it has nothing to do with the language barrier. It's just the mentality that they both know that like this needs like layers and layers and layers before it's considered like a tight friendship. And then she also said, but once you're in, you're like
You're
really in.
Yeah.
Versus I think the low barrier to entry of American friendships is also like they can fall off pretty quick. Like,
Pretty quick.
You know, it's sort of like if it's not a super close friend, like
Yeah.
even how
There's
you're-
no like
there's
loyalty
no
or
like
attachment.
yeah, like
I
even
get it.
I mean, think like before I had kids, like I had a group of like party friends, and then I had like, oh, like those friends are always up for like a new workout class friends,
Yeah.
or like, you know, it's just like you kind of knew people you could sort of be like,
Yeah.
And do I keep in touch with any of those people? No. Like,
I
you know,
think
so,
this is like where we get the reputation because a lot of French people think that Americans are fake.
oh,
because,
yeah, I can
like,
see that.
We're bubbly, we're smiley, we're have these like quick friendships,
Yeah.
invite people over, blah blah blah. But they see it as fake because they don't really believe it. And I don't think it's that we're fake.
I don't
just
think it's fake.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, maybe some people are, but
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty like bubbly,
no, you're
smiley,
yeah,
and
same.
will easily invite someone
Yes.
to go do something.
For sure.
But I don't think I'm fake. But I do see the difference because when I see how they operate,
Mm-hmm.
it does seem a little. I could see how it could be seen that way.
I can see that too. And I almost wonder if there's like I perceive it sometimes like a little more like serious. Like they might be able to like, they might be in like more of a deep talk quicker, like not quicker meaning like in time, but like I feel like we could be seen out like laughing and like being loud and whatever, where like their perception might be like, I want like some one-on-one time together
Yeah.
in like a cafe where we're like really getting into like what's really happening in our lives.
Really going on under
It's
the
really going on under the
hood.
hood where we might be, you know, having
Yeah.
like more of a, I don't want to call it a superficial conversation, but like that, I mean, that definitely happens, but especially if you're out with like a group and
Yep.
you don't, you know, it's just, I think it is kind of different. That's interesting.
And I think I mentioned this on one of our other episodes too. You can tell me if I did, but I'll mention it again.
Okay.
There's this like age old, I don't know if it's age old saying, but there's a saying
Okay.
that French people are like coconuts.
Oh, you haven't said this.
I haven't?
I haven't
Okay,
actually
so-
even heard it.
So French people are like coconuts.
Okay.
They're really hard to get in. Like it's really hard to get past the surface.
Okay.
But once you're in, like, you know, it's all liquid inside. So like once you're
Oh.
in, you're in. Whereas Americans are more like a peach.
Hmm.
So very soft skin, you can get right in, but the real inside, the seed,
Getting
like
to the core.
you're never really going to get there
So
unless it's
interesting.
like they're very close friends. Because I think also Americans sometimes, I mean, I'm definitely stereotyping
Yeah.
here, but I think a lot of people project a certain thing on the surface
Yeah.
and they let actually very, very few people into like their deep feelings or thoughts on things. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's really true. Yeah. And I think that is actually a fault of like when I think if you go to like a new city, for example, you can have like, for me at least, like when we moved to San Francisco and my kids started school, like there was like a broad network of moms, right? And we'd like maybe go to mom dinners and things, but like I felt like my conversations, like I really never broke past like that
surface level. Yeah.
like for a long time. And then maybe over time it was like with a few of them, but
Like once you're trusted.
yeah, but it was like, it was also about like, I think you were talking about this the other, like this friend vibe, right? Like, do you feel that friend vibe right away? And I just like, there was a lot of people I just didn't really feel that with. And
Yeah.
so my like propensity then is to not like want to invest my time. And my husband would always say like, well, maybe you're just not making enough of an effort. And I'm like, no, sometimes you have to
not
like
clicking.
listen to your inner voice and be like, this actually just isn't clicking. And it doesn't feel like I'm actually getting like positive energy here that I want from a friendship. And so I just didn't end up pursuing those. And I think that's where like people can start to feel kind of like lonely and isolated if you have a lot of just those like superficial interactions without that like depth of really being able to be yourself and open
because
up.
It's true. You're talking to a lot of people, but
Yeah.
like, what are you talking? Like,
Right.
you're not really breaking the surface. I agree. And
yeah.
I do think that I feel like friendships are really deep. Like even when I see my husband, all of his friends that he
Are they
has from
so
college or
close?
from even high school,
Wow.
they're just really close and they can not talk for a while and
Yeah.
call each other and talk on the phone for like an hour, which
That's
is
amazing.
I don't know. I feel like men usually
No, men don't talk
like,
on the phone for like an
talk
hour.
that much, but they just have these deep friendships and
That's really cool.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
can see the value in that.
I can see the value. I can see both sides of it actually. And
I
maybe
think somewhere in the middle. This is like
Yeah.
my conclusion on almost everything in life.
somewhere
In the middle of the US model
Yeah.
and the French model
is a good place to be.
perfect because
Yes.
if you can have a few deep friends
Yep.
and then a few like easy like
For sure.
friends, like it's nice because also sometimes it can be a little overwhelming too
Yeah.
to like go into these big over like deep serious conversations. Sometimes
All
you
the
just
time.
don't have the bandwidth
No.
for it. At least me right now in my current phase of life where I
No.
feel like I have too much going on and
Yeah.
my head is so scattered. I feel like I'm easily overwhelmed
Yeah.
by friends. And it's actually the thing I would probably say struggling with the most right now because there's so many people that I want to spend time
know.
with and see. And I'm just like,
You don't have
shoot,
the time.
like when am I going to see them?
I know.
And then I feel like I'm being like kind of a jerk because I've noticed sometimes I'll forget to respond to people.
Oh.
Or I'll say like, let's do something. And then I never follow through with it. And I hate to be, I've never been like a flaky
Yeah.
person. And I feel like I'm being really flaky.
No, I think honestly, like try not to be too hard on yourself. Like this is like a point in time, right? Like, I mean, these
Yeah.
things really evolve. Like I mean, I feel like I also went through that like a few years ago. Like I just was like too crazed with like too many things. And like the friendships are sort of the first that like, I was like, oh gosh, I never responded to her. Oh, I can't make that dinner. Like I didn't even tell like, and then I would get in my own head about it and be like, oh, I'm such like a bad friend. And like,
Yeah.
oh, no wonder like this is like, I'm like feeling just out of sorts. And I just think you have to sort of like look at it as a point in time and it'll get easier and better. And you
Yeah.
know, we're also like in the thick of like, you have a lot going on right now. Like it's not always going to be like that, you know?
Totally.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
But I don't know. I'm like sensitive, I think, in that
Yeah.
way where I'm like, oh, if this person did this to me, like, I don't know.
but
I get my head about it.
I know. Well, we all do. But I think the
So
lesson
then I like
is
roll it off. I'm like, I can't have any friends. Do you know what I mean? I'm like so extreme.
but you have plenty of friends. Well, you and I, you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
But I do think that kind of brings us to like deal breakers for friendships, you know, like how,
yeah.
because I think like how we think about who we want to be friends with, how we want to preserve that friendship over time. There are things that like right away are sort of, I'm going to call them like triggers for
Yep.
me and probably for you that I'm like,
Yes.
I just know that this is not going to work. So tell me yours.
Okay. I think for me, based on my like life situation
Yeah.
right now, and I'm not complaining at all. I'm like, I've got
Yeah.
lots of things going on, but I just have little time. So because of that,
Yeah.
my biggest priorities after everything are like my husband and
Right,
my
of
daughter.
course.
Like that stuff always comes
course.
first and work stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm just not left with a lot left to give. And you know, you got to fill up your own cup too.
Yes,
so
you do.
I don't have so much
Yeah.
to give. And so if I'm someone who needs a lot in a friendship is not a good friendship match
Like
for
if
me
that
right now.
person needs a lot from you.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, you know how some people will like want to send lots of messages or
Right.
if you don't answer,
Right.
sometimes they're like, oh, like you didn't answer.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel like so anxious right now. I'm like, oh shoot. And then I just can't even answer because I'm like, my head's just
In too many places.
too many places.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm never going to be able to be the friend that person wants me to be in this
Interesting.
moment. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, that's totally fair.
So for me, like, and I understand, like, if that's like the friend that you want, like, there's no,
Yeah.
like, that's
no
normal.
judgment.
Like,
No,
you know,
totally.
like,
Yeah.
we live abroad. Like, people want
Right.
to make real connections
sure.
and have friends that are there for them. And I think, like, in this particular moment of my life, I just can't be that friend.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's fair.
so yeah, I guess I think
So
it's probably
overly
fair, too.
needy.
Overly needy.
Okay.
Not to say, like, I actually really appreciate when people, like, when we said we're going to do something and I don't follow up, if they keep asking, because honestly, sometimes I've just
Totally
forgotten. And it's not that I don't want to see them, but
Yeah.
I do appreciate the effort that they keep asking. But I do realize that I'm like also being the jerk in the situation. But I think like it's really nice that people keep trying.
For
And I
sure.
really appreciate that in other people.
Well, that's great.
Let me think if I have any other deal breakers.
I have one.
Okay, tell me.
Okay. I have been making a very big effort on myself to like be more positive, like try not to like think the worst, like not let like negativity kind of like infiltrate my brain
Yep.
because I tend to be sort of like a pretty anxious person that can like one thought can lead to like me catastrophizing a million things. And so people that are like overly negative,
Oh yeah, this is a deal breaker for me too.
I just can't handle right now. Like it's like people that are complaining about like we live a pretty amazing life here, and I have a hard time with people that come to us as like friends or me or like you, whatever, like that are just all of a sudden like, well, and this sucks and this is bad and blah, blah, blah. And like, it's this and this and this. And it's like I almost want to just like be like, take a breath. Like, is it as bad as you think? Is it like, is there like one thing that's actually worse than others that you could like, and then I kind of go into like, I want to like help them, but then I'm like, why am I taking on their problems? So I think for me, it's like overly negative is like a friendship deal breaker right now.
Look, I think when you go into a situation, like when you're investing time to spend time with other people, you want it to be, and I'm not saying like everything has to, like,
No,
because of course, like when you're
like
friends with people, like people go through hard times, like of course
you want to be
for them. But I do think that it's like if you're investing time for something, you want to leave feeling like you're like
kind of filled up, like your energy's positive.
Yes, exactly. Like, you know, when you like went on a good date and like
Yes,
maybe
you're
like
like,
you know
oh.
you're never going to see that person
Right.
again, but like you enjoyed talking to them,
For
you
sure.
laughed, like you leave like feeling
Yes.
like you had like a good positive social experience.
Agree.
And I think if people are in a negative stage, it can be harder
Yeah.
to do that. I also like do understand that side too, because it can,
know.
and like the grumpy expat is like totally a thing, because
It's definitely a thing.
I think it's just the reality of it is I think, and people say this to me all the time too, I think they think a lot of my social media stuff is like encouraging people to move to France. That's like really like, I'm here because like the reality of it is I'm here because like my husband's French, and I'm so happy that it's progressed in a way that I've really fallen in love with France, and I'm so happy here. But I would never recommend someone to move unless they really wanted to something, because even when you really want it, it's so hard. And it's just, you know, it can be very easy to tumble into that negative spiral, but you have to, like, if you want it to work, like you have to just keep going and try not to fall down in the negative stuff. But you can definitely find a lot of grumpy expats. You also have like a lot of people who are here not on their own
terms.
desire. You know, like a lot of people are brought here because their partner was transferred for work, and it's not really where they wanted to be. And I think that can also just be like frustrating in their own life. A lot of people have to quit their jobs and then they can't work here, so they're around. They have time. I don't know. I think that's a difficult. I feel like I'm going off on a tangent.
No. But on that
note, like, you know, when you're actively putting in to like have a positive experience, you have to be around like-minded people who are also in a positive space.
Well, I agree with that, but I also think like it is easy to fall into like a grumpy expat place here, like just because what you could do is like the administrative stuff, like meaning
it's
like
easy
the visas,
to be grumpy. You're
like,
so right.
You know, like the house probably is like not exactly what you would have like picked, right? Like there's like just challenges like language with constantly, right? Like I would say you're sort of up against like things that you would not face probably in your like past life
for sure
from not living abroad.
Yes.
And so it's easy to let those things like all of a sudden be like, well, this is like everything is just rough because of this and this. And then you start to like let that be the filter, the narrative you see everything through, right? Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, another annoying like French thing I have to deal with. Like I see people fall into that habit a lot. And I think that's like, I mean, look, like there have been moments for me, sure, that I've definitely had my fear of like, oh, like this could have just been so much easier, but you have to like kind of just let it go. I mean, it's really, I know
like,
it's easier said than
let it go.
Talk about it and then like do something that was like a positive experience in that country that you're like, wow, this is so cool. I couldn't have done
like,
that.
Just like focus on the positives.
Yeah.
And I think, I completely agree with you. I do think it's also great, like sort of, I guess this is maybe a convenience friendship, but you know, when you just have a baby, and like you just need to talk to other people that just had a baby that are like, and when I mean like just had a baby, like have babies the exact same age, month, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, for
like everything changes so fast. You just need someone to talk to. So I feel like also when you move, it's really good to have someone else who's literally going through the exact same thing.
For sure.
And you can get your complaints out, because it's super, like, it's just really hard.
Yeah, for sure.
But don't make that the whole narrative, because then you miss out on stuff.
You do. And I also think you start to alienate like friendships you could have had because you're spending your whole time complaining.
Yes.
And and naturally when you're in that negative state, you're asking fewer questions and getting to know someone because you're so caught up in your own head. So I think that is something right now, at least
for you, is a deal breaker.
It's kind of a deal breaker. Yeah.
And like, I think like positivity is super contagious.
Yes, for sure.
So is negativity.
Yes. Yes.
And
it's
like,
actually more contagious.
If someone starts complaining to me, like,
oh, you've got your own list.
I can probably start complaining too. And I'm really not I don't think I'm a complainer.
You're not a complainer. No.
I don't know. I mean,
no,
I
you're
feel like
not
there's
a
things I can easily complain about if given the platform to complain. So,
of course.
So I need.
So maybe you just don't want that energy in your life. I get it. My last thing would be, I feel like this has been something over the past few years that I'm like being more conscious about is like, instead of casting a wide net of like convenience friendships that are just things I like, or the shoulds again, like, I should be friends with that person. Like my son and their son are friends, or I should invite like this group of people over because XYZ. I'm like kind of done with that. So I've sort of decided like this wide net of people that I don't necessarily like feel that like a bond with right away, I would rather let go of and instead focus on like a few quality friends that I like really enjoy seeing, that I look forward to, that I know is going to be like a good time, I know is going to be like someone I can really talk to about like what's honestly going on in my life and not a superficial conversation. So
what I'm hearing is that you're becoming French. No, but seriously.
I mean, maybe I am adopting like some of the perspective because you're turning
into a coconut.
I am turning into a coconut. And maybe because I like actually like deep down kind of like that more than I like the peach. Yeah. I don't know. Could be.
So you're a coconut girl.
Yeah.
I love peaches, but I like coconuts too.
Both are good. Somewhere in the middle. Yes. So I think a few takeaways. Okay. I would say friendships matter like a lot.
They really matter.
And I think it's so easy to rank them on like the bottom of the most important like relationships in your life, especially when life's like busy and you have kids and work and spouse, etc. But I am realizing like if you can even spend like a few minutes once a week like investing in a friendship, it like really, it's not just good for you, it's good for the other person, it's good for long term. So I would say like just do it.
Send the joke, send the picture, the message.
Yes.
Just anything, like low stakes.
Low stakes. And then this one's also kind of for you, Isabel.
Okay.
To not feel guilty. Like to not internalize like if you didn't get back to someone about something.
I just feel guilty about everything.
I know you do, but I'm saying like I think we have to let go of like not feeling guilty about like the friendships or the lack of the meetup that, could or could not have happened, or the lack of time. Like people get it. Like I think people understand. I think it's like a moment in time. And I think you just acknowledge that and then know that like it's not going to be forever. It's just like kids like change every month. Like we change a lot too. Yeah. And like our life ebbs and flows. So I would say to all the moms out there that like have little ones or are busy working or like just don't like beat yourself up about the friendships either.
Thank you. I feel like I needed to hear this.
You needed to hear it today. Yes.
I don't know if I have a takeaway.
Well, that's okay. I think there was plenty that we talked about.
I do have a takeaway.
Okay.
My takeaway is if you can I think it's really fun to work with your friends.
Oh, yes.
Like this has been, I know like this is sort of like what would we call this? Like a passion project?
A passion project.
Yeah. We've learned a new skill together.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
It's been like a great excuse to hang out.
Yes.
With like a purpose.
For sure.
So if you have the opportunity.
Yes.
To do something like this with a friend, give it a try.
Yes. They say if you can combine like a little bit of like a passion project or work or something with like the friendship, you're getting like the best of both all in one.
Yeah.
So I think Isabel's done an awesome job of this, and I'm taking lessons of like someday maybe business with a friend. Yes. So, okay. Well, I think that's it for today. So
I guess, so this is our last episode
of
season one.
We're coming back.
We're definitely coming back in September.
Yes.
Hopefully a little more snazzy. I don't know. We want to try to figure out like how to put some music in.
Yeah, maybe some guests. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mix it up.
If we could have a guest, that'd be great. We should get another microphone.
We're gonna need to figure it out.
Okay. So we'll be back in September.
Yay.
And we'll miss you guys.
All right. We'll miss you. Have a great summer.
Bye.
Cuckoo. Bye.